Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Joe Tolan. I'm the Justicia Equidad Fund Grant Manager at Green Latinos. We're excited to have everybody on the call today. This is the call about our next round of the USDA IRA Urban and Community Forestry Grant Program called Trees in Your Community. And we're going to walk through the grant application process here. We also have our friends online from the Arbor Day Foundation to give some of their templates and some of the overviews about that as well. So if you could go to the next slide. So we'll just do some introductions. I will introduce everybody to Green Latinos, this particular grant program, and then we'll go through the grant process. We also have, like I said, templates available from the Arbor Day Foundation to help people, and they'll give a short presentation as well. And then we will have time for question and answers at the end. I do want to note that if folks do have questions as we go along, they're welcome to drop them in the chat, and our team will work on answering them as we go along as well. I also want to note that for folks that need Spanish translation, or if you have partners that need Spanish translation, we are going to be taking all of these recordings and translating them into Spanish after the fact. And so they will be available on our website under our RFP resources. And so it will have Spanish language translation available there as well. Next slide. All right, so I do want to uplift some of the folks that are important to know. And so the first person who is not able to join us today, Casey Iturralde, is our USDA Forest Service Program Officer. And Mark Magana is the founding president and CEO here at Green Latinos. And so they're important people kind of at the top of the list here. And then I want to give a moment to have everybody else introduce themselves. So I'll start with the urban forestry team. If you want to introduce yourself, Rich.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. My name is Rich Navas. You can call me Rich. I'm the Urban and Community Forestry Program Director for Green Latinos, and I'll be working very closely with our program applicants and reviewing your project materials. So really excited to have everyone on this call and looking forward to your applications. And I'll turn this over to Molly.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here today. I am one of the Urban and Community Forestry case managers, along with Eric, and we will be working also very closely with the subawardees. So looking forward to the presentation today. And with that, I'll pass it over to Eric.
Hi, everyone. I'm one of the other Urban and Community Forestry case managers here at Green Latinos. My name is Eric St. Pierre. I'm based in DC. I'm looking forward to working and meeting you all.
Great. And then my team is the Justicia y Equidad Fund team. And we're working a lot on the budget side of things, making sure we're in federal compliance. And then we also have some other funds that Green Latino manages that we help work on as well. So I've already introduced myself. I'm Joe Tolan. I use he, him pronouns. And I will go ahead and pass it over to Caesar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caesar. I work closely with Joe on the budget system and financial readiness. So look forward to meeting you all and working with you close. Have a good one.
Thank you, Caesar. All right, we can go to the next slide. So I will just give, you're good. I'm just going to give an overview of who Green Latinos is. So if you want to go to the next slide. So Green Latinos, we're a nonprofit organization that works nationally. We are about to celebrate our 16th year in existence, which is really exciting. And we're a community of Latina leaders doing environmental work kind of around the nation. We do work in kind of three different buckets. The first bucket is advocacy related work. The second bucket is convening and bringing together our community to hear their voices and to foster spaces for networking and getting to know each other. And then being an intermediary fund is actually one of our other pillars. And so this particular program really brings together all of those in different ways, and is going to be getting a lot of great resources out the door for underserved communities. And so you can go to the next slide. So for this particular program, the USDA Urban and Community Forestry Grant Program, we are able to provide multi-year programmatic funding for tree planting and related activities that benefit low-income, historically disadvantaged communities. I do want to uplift that yesterday was the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month. And so really great that we can have this webinar today and make sure that we're prioritizing our resources for the community as well. And so this particular project, one of the main pieces obviously is tree planting and maintenance, but there are other buckets of funding that are available as well, including restoration and resilience, working on addressing extreme heat in a lot of these communities, and then workforce development, making sure that we are getting the next generation of, climate resiliency folks ready for their work. And at the core of all of this is community engagement and planning. So every project that comes in the door for this particular program needs to have a community engagement and planning track to the proposal. If you go to the next slide. So a little bit more background on this particular program. Green Latinos was selected as one of 12 national pass-through partners by the Forest Service. And so as one of those national pass-through partners, we are getting money out the door to disadvantaged communities, working in close relationship with the USDA and our other partners as well. We have currently administered 18 subawards to municipalities in California and Illinois, and we are providing guidance through the life cycle of all of those programs as well. Part of this grant also means that Green Latinos will be providing monitoring, technical assistance, support for performance and financial reporting, and helping to get all the funding out the door in a timely manner. For this particular solicitation, there's about $8.5 million that are available to community-based organizations. And you can see on this slide as well, the list of areas that we are going to be funding for this particular RFP. So they include selected counties and territories in Arizona, in California, the greater Chicago metropolitan area, which includes portions of Northwest Indiana and Southeast Wisconsin, New Mexico, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. If you go to our RFP, we will list off a more specific set of counties and jurisdictions. So I want to make sure that folks do reference that as they're looking to apply to this particular program. Next slide. So for the grant application process, there's quite a few pieces here that I will walk us through, but really, once you look at the RFP and decide if you want to apply for this program, there are a couple of pieces of information that we'll want you to get started on. One of them is your project budget. And so on our website, there is a Excel template that you can download that automatically fills out certain information as you build out your budget. We just held a presentation on that budget training last Friday. And Rich, thank you so much for putting the link to that in the chat. Then you'll want to prepare the answers to any of the questions on our RFP, including the table of census tracts that you're going to be working in. We also have a detailed video to show folks how to do that as well that will be posted on our resources page. Once you have those answers filled out, you'll be able to log into the Green Latinos grant portal to create an account and submit all of your documentation. Again, that form is fairly straightforward. We have a video that's recorded about filling out the online grant application portal. If we have time at the end of the training today, we'll play that video. But if we have a lot of questions, we will make sure that that video is posted online and you'll be able to see it there as well. All award decisions will be made by October 23rd, 2024. And so we are going to be moving very quickly after the deadline to get decisions out the door so that folks can get started on their work. All applicants who we decide to move forward with awarding will be required to complete a financial readiness assessment. And this is to make sure that we are in line with federal requirements for managing federal funding. Green Latinos does have a lot of templates available, for example, as we get to the financial readiness assessment. And that's something that Caesar and I will be working on together. And so as we get there, if folks have questions, we're definitely here to answer questions. We will have everybody who is awarded ready to go and ready to get started in early November. And so I want to note that for all of these projects, the period of performance will likely be in early November, but it is whenever the grant agreement is fully executed. And all projects must be completed by November 30th, 2027. Next slide. So the link to our Trees in Your Community webpage is up here right now. If you scroll to the bottom of that page, you're going to find all of our helpful tools and tutorials, including how to create the mapping information needs for your particular project, including how to navigate the grant portal, as well as how to complete the application. As I mentioned before, we have a lot of video tutorials that are already uploaded, and we have more that will be uploaded very soon as a step-by-step process of getting through the grant application. And like I said, we do have a video tutorial. If time permits at the end of this training, we will play the video, but we can keep moving for now. I do want to uplift that the U.S. Forest Service also has community navigator programs available. So the Forest Service directly provides certain funding and technical assistance that can help in rural communities with private forest landowners, tribes, businesses, and others. And so what we recommend is that if you're thinking about submitting an application here and you're not already connected with one of those community navigators, we recommend you do that. If you're working in Puerto Rico, we also have a great community navigator that we've been connected with there as well. And so this is just another resource for folks to be aware of to help them as they're looking to apply for funding opportunities and technical assistance. Next slide. So I'm going to do a very quick overview of the budget and application process. As I mentioned, we did a full training. It's about an hour long on Friday to talk about this as well. And so if you haven't had a chance to see that presentation, it is on our website. We, like I said, have provided a budget template for our applicants, and we're just going to take a quick look at the budget template on the next slide. So on the budget template, you'll see that we have 3 years or 4 years kind of listed out here. This is just the summary tab of the budget template. And so you'll see across the bottom that there are also slides or tabs for personnel, for fringe benefits, for travel, for supplies, for contractual costs, and for other. And so as you walk through this spreadsheet on the next couple of tabs, there's going to be light green cells that you fill out automatically, or that you fill out. And then the white cells that are on the spreadsheet will actually automatically calculate as you walk along. So in this summary tab, there's only 2 cells that actually have to be filled out, which are near the top, which is an entity's unique entity identifier and the organization name. The rest of this tab will automatically fill out as the other tabs are filled in. This is, again, just a template to start, but we encourage people to start there because then after this is filled out, you'll go into the online Green Latinos grant portal and submit your budget there. We're not going to go through this either all in this particular presentation, but again, that is in the presentation from Friday. But a couple of quick things is that once you get to the budget tab in this grant making portal, you'll start adding budget line items by clicking the Add Budget Item button that's highlighted in red here. And next slide. Once you enter in all of your budget line items, you will get a summary table that looks something like this. And it breaks out, as you can see, all of the same tabs that are in the Excel budget template spreadsheet that we gave everyone. Personnel, fringe, travel, supplies, contractual, and other, as well as a tab for indirect costs. A quick note on indirect is that with federal awards, if you have a negotiated indirect rate agreement or NICRA, you are allowed to use that rate for this particular project. If you do not have one, you can take the de minimis 10%, so 10% above your direct program costs for indirect, or you can waive those costs if you would like. However, we don't typically encourage folks to waive those indirect costs. Again, there's a full training on this that's available on our website now. Next slide. So now I'm going to get ready to pass this over to our friends at Arbor Day Foundation. We have Christy and Logan online today, and they're going to walk through some of their templates that they can share with everybody as they start to develop their urban forestry projects. So I will go over and pass it over to them.
Sounds great. Thank you, Joe. So my name is Logan Donahue, and I lead our programs team here at the Arbor Day Foundation. You can see a little bit about our organization here on this slide, but our mission is to inspire people to plant, nurture, and celebrate trees. So trees are really at the heart of everything that we do. And like Green Latinos, we are playing the role of a national pass-through partner, working with the Forest Service to help get these Inflation Reduction Act funds to the communities that need them most. So we are right alongside all of you at Green Latinos, working to create these processes that are approachable and as simple as possible, and get these funds to where they're going. So we just closed our most recent competitive process that was aimed at community-based nonprofits. And we currently have one open that is aimed at tribal communities. And that one closes September 30th. So just for awareness, if any of you on the call today know anyone that might be within a tribal community or working with one, that opportunity is out there. But we're here today to share a relatively new resource that the Arbor Day Foundation has been working on over the past year. And this is a concept that we're calling implementation templates. And what these are is really these deep dives into specific subject areas within urban forestry. And so we currently have 6 of them that we have created in collaboration with organizations that are really subject matter experts in each one of these areas. We know a lot about trees, and we have a lot of friends in the world of trees, but we are not the experts on everything. And so what we've done is worked with organizations like Cumberland River Compact, Power Core PHL, and the 2 examples that you see here. And of the 6, I just chose these 2 because we have found that these 2 topics are particularly relevant to a lot of the work that organizations are doing with Inflation Reduction Act funds. But these are free to download. So I'll share the link to this page in the chat, but you can go there. You do have to provide an email address, but they're all free to download. And so the templates can stand on their own and really serve as like a blueprint. And you can go to the next slide and kind of see just a couple of examples. So this is the Equity Centered Workforce Development Program template. Power Core PHL is an organization that has created a workforce development program within urban forestry. And they've kind of seen it all. You know, they've been through challenges, roadblocks, successes. They've learned a lot from a budget standpoint and a collaboration standpoint. And so they've taken all of that expertise and put it into this sort of blueprint. And a lot of these templates have, you know, kind of worksheets or just guiding questions as you think about doing similar work within your organization. So like I said, the templates can stand alone and they can be used on their own to maybe inform your work if your organization is embarking on something within one of these subject areas. Or what the Arbor Day Foundation can do is kind of play matchmaker and match you up with the person, a representative from the organization that offered the template, and they could offer some coaching or mentorship, whatever that looks like, whether that's a few hours of their time to kind of walk you through the process, or really embark on a longer term relationship throughout the life of this grant where you know, they can be meeting with you regularly, having check-ins. It's kind of, you know, that relationship would be up to you and the coaching organization. And we want people to know about this before they go and fill out their application for this funding, because you can learn from the coaching organization kind of how many hours of support is reasonable based on what it is that you're hoping to accomplish, and incorporate funding for their time into your project budget. And that, I think, would most likely, the way that we've looked at this, is that would go under contractual costs. So just know that this resource is out there. I encourage you all to explore these templates. And if you go to the next slide, on the page that, oh, thank you for sharing that, Christy. If you scroll down to the bottom of that page, there's this coaching form. And this is basically your way of giving us a heads up of, hey, we're interested in maybe applying for some coaching funds as part of our overall proposal. And we will get this form, and we will reach out to the contact at the organization that is best poised to connect with you. And the cool part is they all know about this, so they're expecting these kinds of inquiries. And the sooner that you can do this, probably the better, so that you can have that initial conversation with them, get an understanding of how they might be able to support your organization, and then figure out what that translates to in terms of the budget piece. So yeah, that's implementation templates, and Christy and I will be around to answer questions, and we'll be monitoring the chat too if anyone has any that they want to share there. But yeah, happy to share this resource with Green Latinos, and we're glad that you reached out and asked if we could collaborate in this way.
Great, thank you so much. We are excited to work with you all too at the national pass-through partner level as well. And thank you for providing these resources for our potential awardees as well. Great, I'm gonna keep us moving. And so one of the other barriers that we know can play a role for some of the underserved communities that we work in to receive funding is that a lot of federal grants operate on a reimbursement basis. And we know for a lot of organizations, it's not possible to do all of the work upfront and be reimbursed afterwards. And so we've worked really closely with Raza Development Fund to put together some resources on potentially doing bridge funding to get folks started with this work. Molly, can you go? Thank you. So Raza Development Fund is a Latino-led and focused community development financial institution. We had them present for about 15 minutes also on Friday during our budget training. So I'm not going to go too much in depth here today about what they provide, but again, I'll encourage people to review the recording of our presentation from Friday if you weren't able to attend, where they talk about the opportunities that they have to help bridge funding for this program as well. Next slide. So now we'll have time for some Q&A. And I think we will also have time to play the video kind of going over the application process as well. So we can go ahead and start taking questions though if folks have them. If you either want to put them in the chat, or you could even raise your hand and we can have you come off mute.
So I'm going to answer Max Pingeon's question. The recording, Max, will be available tonight on our website.
Thank you very much.
No problem. I think, Cassandra, did you complete the interest form for Arbor Day? Is that it?
I absolutely did.
Excellent. Great. We're really grateful that Christy and Logan from Arbor Day actually joined us. Does the tribe need to be federally recognized? Yes, because these are federal funds, the tribe does need to be federally recognized. I would still encourage, are you a state recognized tribe? Do you have any state recognition? Yes, okay. So Logan and Christy, you have a tribal specific grant open right now. Would you accept an application from a state recognized tribe?
So our opportunity is open to federally recognized tribes, tribal organizations, so organizations operated by a federally recognized tribe, and organizations that they might be partnering with. So we have really drawn a circle around federally recognized, but there is a little bit of flexibility built in there. So if you want to, I would love to just learn more about your organization, and we can work with the Forest Service to figure out, is this possible? But yes, the primary focus of ours is on federally recognized tribes.
So Richard Perez Sr., you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I'm sorry. So yeah, I work with the Costanoan Indian Band of Ohlone Indians. They were granted sovereignty through the federal government Dawes Act. So they have 125 acres in the Diablo mountain range. And we are working right now with the EPA. So they're not federally recognized through the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They are given status as both sovereign Indian nation and as a 501c3 in the state of California. So with those two, I'm not sure if we qualify with the federally recognized, but we are getting money from the federal government through the EPA because they are considered a sovereign nation. So I just wanted to share that because we are looking at doing climate mitigation around forestry because they live in a very highly densely forested area, and early wildfire protection is imperative to protecting their land.
So I believe because you're a tribal entity also has a 501c3 nonprofit arm, you can use that nonprofit arm to apply to our funding because it is a 501c3 nonprofit status.
Okay, yeah, and I also work with the Latino Coalition of San Benito County, who helps migrant farm workers. And so we're kind of combining those two entities together because they are also a 501c3. And actually, the EPA gave me this link like 10 minutes before you guys started this. So I'm really happy to be here, but I just wanted to know if you have a collaborative that can work two CBOs together to apply for the same funding source.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So one of the groups would be quote unquote the lead applicant for the project, and you could determine which of your organizations would want to take the lead. But when you're in our online system, there is a position to add any partner organizations as well. And then we can go in once that partner organization information is in and give the partner organization access to the online form as well, so you can work on it collaboratively.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. Do other folks have questions?
So one of the issues that we have seen people run into where most folks need help is with mapping. If you would like to get assistance with understanding how to map your census tracts that you need to upload to the grant portal, please reach out to us. I'm going to put my email in here, and so will Eric and Molly, and you can reach out to any of us and ask us for any assistance with mapping. We're more than happy to do a screen share and get that done with you. So please don't hesitate. And the other issue is that if you run into any problems with putting your budget into the grant portal, just download the Excel template that we have online, complete that Excel template, and send that to us. We want to make this as easy for you as possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us for any assistance. And if we can help you in any way, facilitate your application submission, we'll do what's necessary. So thank you. Do proposals need to include the coaching support mentioned by Ms. Logan? No.
I was just typing a response to that, but I'll just say it because that'll be faster. So yes, what you would do is fill out that coaching form. We'll connect you with the prospective coach. And you would set up a just introductory conversation, get to know a little bit about their organization and expertise. They would get to know your organization and expertise. And then they can make a recommendation for, okay, well, here's what I think support would look like, and here's what our organization would charge for our time to provide that one-on-one coaching mentorship. And so that would be something that you would then incorporate into your budget when you submit your proposal. And I am going to send a note actually to all of the template authors today, because that wasn't something that we asked each one of them if they're able to provide coaching in Spanish or any other language. So I would love to get back to you all on that, but that's also something that if you do have that introductory conversation, you can ask them, do you have the capacity to provide these services in Spanish?
Max, you're asking if you can offer your services as technical design and implementation assistance to any CBOs. Absolutely. Circle back with me after this call and let's discuss further.
Great, thanks very much.
And Cassandra, you have your hand up.
I do. The last couple of statements have triggered some questions for me. So for the grant itself, the application, are there any specific limitations to how many partners can be within this project scope? And then as far as the support that's happening, and then the grant application itself, I know that the primary organization must be a 501c3. So the 501c3 that is leading the project would receive technical support. But what about those other partners within that scope of work that are doing a lot of the work? Will they also receive the technical support and things like that I guess I'm thinking in a collective way for the group itself?
Yes. So we haven't put a cap on how many partners you can have, but I think in terms of your funding, you have to clearly devise a plan that would be sufficient to meet your needs as the lead partner, because there are significant reporting requirements that go with this project and this program funding. And we would also ask you to think about how you're managing your contractual relationships with these project partners, because the more you have, the greater the reporting burden on you as the lead applicant when it comes time for semi-annual reporting and reimbursement processing, et cetera. So, we haven't put a cap on the number that you can partner with, but we would definitely advise you to limit the number of project partners you have to make it a manageable process for yourself as the lead applicant. I hope that answers that.
Absolutely. And well, you led me to another question. For a recommendation from you, what would you suggest would be like an adequate number generally?
And it depends on your scope of work. It depends on what you are asking your partners to do. So we currently have some sub-awardees that have 2 or 3 partners that have very specific roles on the project. And it's fairly manageable for them, but they're municipalities, so they have maybe more infrastructure, both administrative and fiscal infrastructure to manage those partnerships. So it really depends on the scope of your project, your administrative and fiscal capacity to manage this with other partners, and the reporting burden you're willing to take on as the lead applicant, because there is a significant reporting burden with this program.
Understood. Thank you so much.
No problem. And Cassandra, I'm more than happy to have an offline chat with you to get to understand a bit more about how many partners you're willing to have. So if you want to set up a time to have a call with me, I'd be happy to guide you in this.
Say no more. I'll send you an email shortly.
All
Thank you.
right, no problem. Are there any other questions? If after this presentation you find that you might have more questions, you're welcome to reach out to us and get on a Zoom call or Teams call or phone call with us to ask further questions, to get guidance on applying online. And if you find that you're running into any issues with the grant portal, reach out to us right away. We'll walk you through it. Again, we want to facilitate this process so it's easy for you, and we want to make it a manageable process. But we also want to be very transparent in terms of what is expected of you if you were to actually get this grant award. There is a significant reporting burden. There are expectations for processing your paperwork. Those subawardees that are selected are going to be expected to go through a financial readiness assessment process. We've outlined all of this in the RFP, so we want you to be aware, and we would be happy to have further discussions with you in detail to help you understand what that might entail, or what reporting burdens are expected of you semi-annually and quarterly. These are federal funds, so it's not as though we can actually just give you the money and you can just go off and do your own thing. There are reports required on a quarterly and semi-annual basis that you should be aware of. So again, in response to Cassandra's question, be mindful of how many partners you bring into the process, because you will need their data as part of the reporting process as well. Andrea?
Yeah, thank you. This is more of a technical assistance question, and I know I've sent a couple emails your way lately, but and maybe the tutorial video on the portal itself will help with this, but is it safe to assume that we are able to go back and edit our proposal once it's in the system? Because I have not been able to navigate that, and I was just hoping to maybe have a conversation with someone on the side about it.
Yes, you can go back in and edit your proposal. You absolutely have the option to do that. The only time when that is not an option is if you hit submit application. Once you hit submit application, the system assumes that you've completed everything and you're done, that it's a final submission. So if that's the case, we need to work with our portal administrator and actually reopen the grant application to you. And Andrea, I'm actually happy to work with you offline. So sometime this afternoon, if you'd like to work with me, we can do a screen share via Zoom. I can see what's happening on your end or what you're running into, and then I can try and troubleshoot through it.
That would be amazing. I appreciate that. Yeah, we definitely have not hit submit on the application, but I do not seem to be able to edit anything. So yes, we can touch base after this to set something up.
I'll reach out to you.
Thank you so much.
Molly, would you be able to get ready to share the video to walk through the application process?
I have it pulled up now. I'm happy to share if you're ready for that.
Yep.
Okay. 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 In this tutorial, I will take you through how to apply for this grant through our online portal. First, I will take you through the eligibility quiz, which must be completed before starting the application. It will determine if your organization and project are eligible to apply for this grant. After confirming your eligibility, I will show you how to create an account and set up a password. And finally, I will take you through the process and show you how to submit. I also want to note that this tutorial is an overview of how to apply, and we will be releasing separate tutorial videos, which will go in depth on how to fill out the budget section and how to complete the mapping necessary to fill out the census tract section. Okay, let's dive in. This is what you will see when you click on the link for the application portal, and it will first guide you through an eligibility quiz. Go ahead and click Next to get started. Here we can see some information to read through on the grant details, eligibility criteria, eligible locations, application assistance, information on Green Latinos, and proposal evaluation guidelines. This is exactly the same information that may be found on the PDF of the RFP. Scrolling down through this third page of the eligibility quiz, we can read out about the reporting requirements and contact information for further information. You will be required to complete a financial readiness assessment if you are selected. Please read through all of this information and continue on to the next page. Clicking Apply. Now we see a form to fill out to determine if you're eligible to continue on to the application. Please read carefully and select the answers that apply to your organization and project. Please note that this project must be carried out in only disadvantaged areas of the eligible counties listed here. Please refer to the 3 mapping tools to confirm the disadvantaged designation of the locations where you want to work. This is a continuation of the eligibility form. When you are done, please click Next to find out if you are eligible to apply. If you are eligible to apply, you will be prompted to fill out this form with information on your organization and a space to indicate your contact information. I would like to note at the top right of this form, you can fill out your organization's EIN. This must be entered as a 9-digit number with a dash after the first 2 digits, as you can see here on this. The form will not accept any other input other than this format. When you are done filling out this information, you can move forward by clicking Next. Here you can set your password, and your password must be at least 8 characters, including 1 alphabetic character and 1 number. After doing so, you will see a box with your username. You have now finished the eligibility quiz and can click Next to start the application. This is the first page of the application. Please fill out the relevant information. Provide a title that is representative of your project, and if you have any organizations that you plan to collaborate with, please include them here. For example, your city's Parks Department, other nonprofit organizations, or tribal government. You can click Next to continue or save and close at any time to save the application and come back to it later. Here you can list the primary points of contact for your grant proposal. Please be sure to click Update Roles to save your entries. On this page, you can enter more specific information about your organization and project. You can list additional project partners if you have more than one in question. Your project must fall within one of the 3 areas identified in question 5, or it can include all 3 areas. Here is where you will also upload your census tract data. There are 3 mapping tools available to you to determine if a specific area is disadvantaged. Remember, it is mandatory that your work happens in disadvantaged communities. Now I will take you through a tutorial on how to determine if your area is disadvantaged using all 3 mapping tools. All of these tools can be found in the links in this video description. The first tool we can use is called CJust. For this example, we will pretend that we want to determine if an area in Redwood City, California is considered disadvantaged. Now we'll go to the CJust tool, which you see here on your screen. If we scroll down, we can search for Redwood City, California, and it comes up here. Let's zoom in a bit. As you can see, any of the areas in dark gray are considered disadvantaged. But let's say we want to work in an area here on Alden Street. Let's click on this area. What will come up is the tract number here, which is important to note for later. We might be using that. It's also important to note that this identifies as not being disadvantaged. If we zoom out a bit and click on an area that is in dark gray, we can see that yes, it is disadvantaged. But let's go back to our Alden Street location. And remember that we need to highlight this to use later. Even though this designates as not being disadvantaged on CJust, we can go to another tool called EPA IRA to determine if it's disadvantaged. So let's go there now. Here's the EPA IRA tool, and let's do the same thing. Let's search for Redwood City. Here we can see it shows up in blue and orange. Any area that is orange is considered disadvantaged. Any area that is blue is not. But it's a little bit hard to see. So let's turn the transparency down so we can locate a specific area. To do that, you go here to the left into transparency, and then let's turn it to about 70%. Now, when we zoom in, we'll be able to see the cross streets. So let's try to find that area of Alden Street. If we zoom in, here it is. So let's click on this area. And here we can see that it indicates as not being disadvantaged. That's okay. We can use a third and final tool called EJ Screen to see if it might be considered disadvantaged. I'll go there now. This is the EPA EJ Screen tool. And to do this, we're going to do the same thing. Search for our area, Redwood City, California. Here we go. So what we want to do is go to Reports, select an area, select a city, and here we can click on Redwood City. It will highlight here the entire Redwood City. And what's important here is to note, if you click on this EJ Screen Community Report, it will open up a tab that will give you the community report on the entire city of Redwood City. It does take a little while, so be patient and give it some time to load. But here we have a report which can be useful when determining if the areas we want to work in are disadvantaged. We can scroll through and see that there are a number of different indexes to consider. All around, just important information to know. But now we need to go back to EJ Screen and determine if the specific area that we wanted around Alden Street is considered disadvantaged. So what we're going to do is go search by block group or tract, click the tract option, and this is where we need to go back to CGEST. Remember, I told you that we need to highlight this. Let's copy it. Go back to EJ Screen and paste it here. This is going to find that specific area for us. Now what we can do is click the EJ Screen Community Report for this specific area. Let's go ahead and do that. And what it's going to do is pull up that same report. And this is where we can find the information to determine if the area is disadvantaged. What we need to do is scroll down and look at these indexes. First, let's look at the EJ index. What's important to remember is that if anything is over to the 70th percentile in the national percentile, this green percentile, it is considered disadvantaged. We can see here that there are multiple indexes that are indicating as being over the 70th percentile for the national percentile. Therefore, this community is considered disadvantaged. We can continue to scroll down and see if any of the supplemental indexes indicate over the 70th. They don't for this one. And then we can also look down at this table and look at this column here, percentile in the US. We can see here that there are some that are indicating over 70th percentile. Therefore, we can conclude that this tract is considered disadvantaged and therefore is eligible for consideration in this grant. If you have multiple tracts where you want to work, add them in the table and upload them here. This is a quick overview of identifying disadvantaged communities with mapping tools. I would like to remind you that we will also have a tutorial video coming out on how to find and present this data. It will walk you through how to use the indicated mapping tools and how to pull the data for the communities you want to be working in. We have also included a census tract Excel template for you to log your census tracts. This will be included in the video description and can also be found on the RFP page. Click Next to continue. On this page, you can continue to share more specific information on your goals, implementation teams, impact, and communications plans of your project. It is important to be detailed and realistic about your project timelines and deliverables. Click Save and Next to continue. Here, you can share your budget narrative. Be sure it includes all of the categories listed and aligns with your outline program budget, which will be shared on the next pages. I would also like to note that this is a quick overview of this section. We will also have a tutorial video coming out on how to create and fill in this section in detail. We have also included a project template in Excel format for you to log your budget line items. This will be included in the video description and also can be found on the RFP webpage. We recommend you complete that template and have it ready before filling in the section of the application. Click Save and Next to continue. Here, you can read more information about how to create and upload your budget. Continue by clicking Save and Next. And this is the page where you will enter the specifics of your budget line items as filled out in your project budget template. A webinar on Friday, September 15th is available to walk you through the specific process. Click Save and Next to continue. On this page, you can find information on indirect rates, what they are, and how to add them to your budget if needed. To continue, hit Next. And this is the page where you can see a summary of your budget for your review, and where you can submit your budget by clicking the button in the bottom right corner here. After submitting your budget, you will be led through 3 separate appendices with information for your review. The first Appendix A lists technical assistance vendors who have indicated that they are willing and interested in working with applicants who may need assistance in completing this grant proposal. To continue, click Save and Next. The second appendix shares information and contact information for the Community Navigators program. The Community Navigators can help you with answering urban and community forestry related questions and with completing this grant application. And the third and final appendix shares information on bridge funding opportunities through RASA Development Fund. More information on bridge funding will be provided in the webinar on September 13th. After reviewing these appendices, you will come to this page, which will be where you can upload any additional or supplemental documents to be considered with your application. After doing so, click Save and Next. And finally, you will be brought to a review page where you can ensure all the information included is correct. It is important to please print and save a copy of what you see on your screen for your records, as it is the only record that you will have of what was submitted. And you can submit your application by hitting the button on the bottom right of the screen. After submitting, you will be able to certify and sign your application and hit Submit once again. At this point, you are finished with the application process, and you can consider your application submitted for review. Here, I am sharing the contact information where you may direct any questions. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to reviewing your applications. So thank you for watching through that. I also just want to point out that we are working on creating that tutorial in Spanish. So that will also be on our RFP webpage if any of you need to reference it and or share with any partner organizations. And that should be uploaded shortly. I'm going to hand it back over to Joe to close this out and to maybe answer any other questions that might have come up. Thank you.
Joe, there is a question from Fred about financing costs. What types of financing costs can be added to the project budget?
I'm gonna have to do a little bit of digging and get it back on that. I don't believe you're able to add additional finance costs to the budget, but I would have to do a little bit of digging to confirm that information.
And I'm going to upload the presentation. I just have to do some editing, but I will upload this presentation by this evening on our webpage. We will also have the Spanish version. As soon as we get that, we will upload that to our webpage as well. All of the links to all the presentations are on the webpage. I'm sorry, Felicia, you had a question? Felicia?
No, I didn't have a question. No. What time did this meeting start? I was under the impression it was gonna start at 2 p.m.
It was 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But we'll have a recording for you, Felicia. So not to worry. All of this information is recorded. You can access it this evening.
Great.
And if you need any of our assistance, we're here we can stay on this call and help answer any questions you may have. We're just happy to help in whatever way we can.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Is there anything else we can assist you with? Do you have any other questions? All right.
I don't have any other questions. I will go over the recordings and the presentations. And if I have additional questions, I'll reach out via email.
Sure, please do. We'll look forward to hearing from you and we'll look forward to receiving your application.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we'll close this out. Really appreciate your attending this and we're here to help. So please email us, call us, ask us anything that you need to. Look forward to receiving all your applications.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.